Hi, and welcome to today's 4-Minute Mark. We are in Mark chapter 2, and we're looking at verses 18 through 22. Now, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked Jesus, "How is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot so long as they have him with them. But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast." We'll stop there before reading the next couple verses. It's appropriate that I'm reading this particular passage during Holy Week because from Good Friday until Easter Sunday morning, that would be a time when the disciples would fast because they would be in mourning, because they didn't know that Jesus was going to rise from the dead, but the bridegroom would be taken away from them at that time. Jesus says, right now, it's a party. I'm right here with my disciples. So why should they act as though they are sad? And why shouldn't they party? Why shouldn't they embrace the fact that they are with the bridegroom? Another reason for fasting in the Bible is to ask God for something, to be concentrated in what you're asking God for. Jesus is basically saying, my disciples don't need to fast right now because they don't need anything. I'm with them. They have their needs met in me. Again, the time will come when I will be gone, and then, yes, they will fast, but not right now. Not right now. Let's go on. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. If he does, the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No, he pours new wine into new wineskins. What is Jesus getting at here? What he's saying is the Pharisees had the way that they thought they would please God with their lives. John and his followers had a certain way, basically the Old Testament way. And Jesus is saying, but God is doing something brand new right now. It's like God is giving us new wine of the kingdom to drink. And if we try to take that new wine and pour it into the Old Testament way of doing things and the Old Testament way of thinking, it's not going to work. Boom! It's going to burst. No, we need new wine for new wineskins, new ways of doing things, new ways of reminding one another of God's grace and not talking about obeying the law and all the rituals and all the rigmarole and all of that kind of thing. New wine for new wineskins. And let me say this too, the Church of Jesus Christ ought to be open to new ways to present the gospel. I'm not saying we change the gospel. We don't change God's word. We don't change his message. But the way in which we present things can change. New wine in new wineskins. I think of the praise worship music that we use or that we hear on the radio. Believe it or not, back when I was in college, it was a big deal if you were going to use music with a beat, any sort of rock and roll type thing or any sort of secular music in church. That was, we can't do that. We have to stick only with hymns. And now it's commonplace. Now people use rock and roll during their VBS programs. New wine and the wineskins changed. So be open to changes that God may have you and your congregation do. New wine for new wineskins. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.